Hello, everyone, and welcome to this podcast. And we can talk about a long overdue. We can go over our Florida investment update for our network members and other in the YouTube channel out there as well. And yep, very exciting update. We can dispel all the myths and misconceptions, separate the myth versus facts. And so investors can make an informed decision to create wealth for themselves and their family. My name is Seewing Yee from the University Network. And today I welcome our Florida network partner, Jim Shields from Southern Impression Homes. Welcome, Jim. How are you?
Good, Seewing. Good to see you. Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, very good. And I know you're very busy running your very good operation here in Florida, and you're benefiting our investors and as well as many other out-of-state investors from all over the country and all over the world as well. So we appreciate this great reciprocal referral relationship partnership that we have together. So without further ado, Jim, let me share my screen here. And so let me go over the first few slides. Now, when I'm done with my slides presentation, then you will communicate on the second half of the Zoom webinar. All right?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Okay, very good. So here's my thoughts and my opinions about Florida and how investors can benefit from out-of-state investing. Your Florida products consists of some really good products. You offer new builds, built to rent, investment philosophy, single family residential renting, duplex and fourplex. And you have 8 great locations located strategically throughout Florida, which is Jacksonville, Palm Coast, Citrus Springs, Ocala, Englewood, North, Fort Charlotte, Lehigh Acres. If I miss anything, you can feel free to comment later on this presentation. I know we have some additional markets you're entering. We're not going to disclose that until it becomes official. So keep that on the back burner. Yeah, so these 8 locations are really, in my opinion, is the path of growth, is the next frontier, and very exciting. In terms of the value you provide as a turnkey provider for investors out there, you are providing some great forward commitment builder, buying down the rates and other incentives you have with those investors. And further, all your products in those locations is all have cash flow. That's very important. If investors put 20 to 25% down payment, they expect positive cash flow, which is our core foundation of us becoming successful with real estate investing. Because of the many areas in Florida no longer cash flow, believe it or not. Your company is doing some great research and due diligence in positioning product investors to buy the best, fastest growing locations. So Florida is a path of growth. It's the last of the remaining quote unquote final frontiers, in my opinion. Florida has been and should be the fastest growing state in the union, with the population and job growth and migration of people coming into Florida, especially from the Northeast, from the West Coast, and really all over the U.S. and investors from overseas, all over the world as well, are targeting Florida investment properties, single family homes, especially the institutional investors as well from Wall Street. They have been targeting Florida, and they will continue to target to buy in bulk because of the attractiveness of the housing market. And this thing, I'm sure you can talk about a little bit toward the back end of the presentation. There's a lot of misconceptions about Florida, with the weather issues, with the insurance. But my takeaway is that the product new builds that you have in your portfolio, you have not seen virtually no insurance issues, which is contrary the popular belief in the mainstream media with all the doom and gloom, the sky is falling, the world's coming to an end scenario, especially associated with skyrocketing insurance costs in the weather impacted areas such as Florida. So we'll discuss more about that. So hold your thoughts. And some more highlights from my personal view is that not just for Florida, but nationwide, we are going through some historical low inventory of houses for sale and demand. We still have pent up demand, believe it or not, even though the mortgage rate right now is around at least 8%, at least for the whole owner, which is very challenging. At the same time, home affordability is at a 40-year low due to higher home prices, especially in the past couple of years during the pandemic went up and the skyrocketing of mortgage rates that which were back in 2021 were as low as 3%. Now is as high as 8%. For those reasons, more people are entering the rental pool, which is good for our landlord investors from out of state. And furthermore, unemployment is at a historical low. The jobs and economy is doing as well as you can expect. And also in the US, not just currently for many years now, ever since the real estate crash of 2008, 2009, in the US, single family residential homes, new construction, especially entry-level homes, around 250 to 350K type single family homes are almost non-existent in the country. Very costly and very difficult to build entry-level single-family new constructions, especially in a fast-growing area in the Sun Belt, as in Florida, for example. Except you guys, our team, our partner, Southern Western Homes. Again, you guys provide value add in multiple ways. Okay, one breaking news I want to briefly mention is that the Fannie Mae just created a new lending guideline recently, a few weeks ago actually, whereby a primary home buyer, a owner-occupied buyer, can now use 5% down, no PMI, to buy 2 to 4 unit duplex, triplex, and fourplex. And as a result, once more and more primary home buyers are able to look into this game-changing loan program, if you will, investors, pure investors like many of us, will see more competition from these buyers. So therefore, makes your 2 to 4 units in your portfolio even more in demand than it already has been in the recent past. So keep that in mind. So more competition, like down the road, right now we may not see the immediate result of it. Gives the reason why, more the reason why investors right now, real estate turnkey investors should have a sense of urgency to buy rental properties right now, especially when the competition is low. All right, here's some additional comments that I have. Rental market will be strong for years to come. There is already a shortage of single-family residential homes to rent in many locations in the U.S., especially in Florida, in the areas, the locations that you guys are promoting your homes in those 8 locations. I expect, depending on specific neighborhoods, specific regions in Florida, there will be bidding wars for rentals. Okay. And tenants will stay longer, and landlords over time, in the next few years and beyond, will be able to raise their rental rates, resulting in more cash flow. Yeah. And then, of course, vacancy rates and problem tenants will be almost non-existent, meaning they will minimize. Both well with the landlord investors out there. We have plenty of opportunity to pre-screen the best tenants possible, especially the turnkey approach that Southern Impression Homes have, and the great property management that you guys have. So to help investors pick the best tenants. And the consequences of waiting on the sidelines for investors are many. But before we go into that, one more thing I want to discuss that have not been discussed. Again, the initial goal for any investors, turnkey investors from out of state, especially for my network and other network as well, your initial primary goal is to buy these rental properties, these new construction turnkey homes through your company. Yes, you buy as long-term rental, LTR, I believe that long-term rental. However, some of the investors, after they purchase and they use it as a long-term rental, they may want to pivot into medium-term rental. And because this is an up and coming big thing that's coming into the investment space, if you will, medium-term rental. I'm not going to talk too much details about it. I've produced a number of YouTube videos on that as well. But once our investors that want to pivot into a medium-term rental, they can pivot. If they do other things correctly, they can potentially have 50% higher rental rates from compared to the long-term rental. So something is an option for investors, but if you want to keep it all your rentals long-term, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's a lot of opportunity to convert into medium-term rental, which is renting for more than 30 days and less than 1 year. We're talking renting. You have to fully spend money to fully furnish your properties in order to do that. And again, there are many different types of renters that are willing to rent the house more than 30 days in less than 6 months. Quickly, some of them could be traveling nurses, healthcare professionals, digital nomads, construction workers, and many others, students, colleges, professors, and instructors, and full-time and part-time students. Many others. It's beyond the scope of today's presentation. Some of you, depending on the local restrictions in certain parts of Florida, you may even pivot to convert some of your long-term rental, not only into a medium-term rental, but into even a short-term rental Airbnb situations, depending on the location, however. So I call it this trifecta effect. Buy as a long-term rental. Potentially some of you, upon further researching due diligence in the area that you are purchasing, pivot into a medium-term rental and even short-term rental Airbnb, which is a trifecta effect. So a lot of multiple strategies, entrance and exit strategies associated with buying in great location in Florida. So why your product and your 7 to 8 locations are appropriate to this great potential strategy? Because location, your product, your houses are located in excellent locations in those 8 areas, as we discussed, because they are located close to hospitals, medical clinics, colleges, universities, and many other amenities that are conducive for medium-term rental. All right, and we'll go over briefly this cash flow pro forma that your company has provided to investors. So I'm going to go through only a couple of pro formas because there's so many of your products. So I'm going to go over just, again, you have this forward loan commitment will be, you guys are paying most of the points to buy down this rate. There's something that should not take it for granted, and not every builder able or willing, and they have the capital resources to pay down your points as an investor to buy down the rate, buy down to high 4 and mid 5%. So they will give you cash flow. So this is an amazing incentive. You as a builder, Jim, you're providing to the investors something that is a tremendous value. That buy down of rate with this rent to price projection, you're able to, the investors are able to achieve positive cash flow right from day one once the venture begin to occupy this property. So in this case, this property in Colorado, for example, selling for $264, renting for almost $1,700 at 25% down payment with this projected mortgage rate by down 4.7 to mid low 5%, you can achieve several $100 of positive cash flow. So I'm not going to go over uh, too many performer. This is a duplex in Ocala. Again, very good positive cash flow. You guys can see down here, giving the rate buy down. And finally, is very value add, very rare fourplex new construction in Jacksonville with this price point and $5 rate as well, achieving monthly net cash flow more than $1,000. So all great properties that we are presenting. Then, Jim, momentarily, I'm going to have you also talk about the cost of reading. A lot of people are waiting on the sidelines for many reasons, but I want you to provide your perspective. But so before I'll have you take over your presentation, I'm going to conclude by saying that anyone that bought an income property out there for the longest time, because income property, as you can see on my screen, is history's most powerful and proven multi-dimensional asset class. It's the greatest wealth building investment vehicle in the history of the world, in my opinion, because you are making money in more than one way. Most newbie investors, they think it's all about cash. No, it's not all about cash flow. Multiple ways you can make money as an income property investor is you get cash flow, passive income, you have tax benefits, you have appreciation potential long term, and you have the power of leverage using a 30-year amazing fixed rate mortgage. And the legendary Warren Buffett says, be fearful, others are greedy, and be greedy when others are fearful. So Jim Shields, as a leader of your company, Southern Christian Homes, gather your thoughts as to what I've just said and fire away and however you want to.
No, thanks, Seewing. You did a great job summarizing for sure. And I think you hit on a lot of points, and I'll just add some things that are within the same realm and basically support everything you just said. One of the most important things that we do is we are about strategizing the right market. And I was a Californian for years. I left there, 24 years ago, though, to come to what I felt was better waters for a number of reasons. One of them being, I want to go someplace where it's landlord friendly. I want where am I going to have the easiest time collecting rent? And if a tenant doesn't pay for unfair reasons, like you got to keep the property well, of course, and do it nice, which we do with new construction. But if they don't pay, then they can't stay. And I don't want to go to a state where that's tough to get a tenant to move out. And that might sound cold, but when I first started in California with my first few rentals, Seewing, I was taking more stories than I was rent payments. And I learned very quickly that was going to possibly bankrupt me. So I had to really decide, I give a lot to charity. I just don't give charity to my rentals. And one of my rules to help support that is I go to a place that's landlord friendly. Florida is landlord friendly. And when you think about Florida, most people probably say, oh, Orlando, Tampa, Miami, all great markets. They all have the factors we're looking for, except for one thing. When we go into a market, Seewing, we look for 5 things: population growth, economic growth, affordability, desirability, something drawn into the area, and healthy supply and demand. Meaning we want to go where they need more houses because we're a builder. We don't want to go where there's too many houses and try to build. Of those 5 factors, I'm sure people can guess Orlando, Tampa, and Miami are missing one of them, and that's affordability. And once affordability goes out the window, so does cash flow. And that is something really important that we want to start with. Any of the properties you showed, the one in Ocala, the single family, the quad in Jacksonville, those would be at least 2 times the price in those major markets of Orlando, Tampa, and Miami. So we don't go to those markets. We go to top 2nd-tier markets that you don't hear the most about, but we feel have the strongest fundamentals, not only for stability, but also for upside growth and cash flow today. And if you're cash flowing today, you know you're doing well. It's going to be really tough in overpriced markets like those major markets. And that's why our job is to find those markets, those 5 factors: population growth, economic growth, good affordability, desirability, and healthy supply and demand. So all the markets you named have those. And we're also in Fort Myers, Cape Coral, and Inverness, just to add a few more. We're building in about a dozen markets now. And the thing that I think is helping us is, again, the systems we've brought into place. We're always trying to listen, what do people want? First of all, I used to do a lot of bulk foreclosures. I used to fix up old houses and rent them for myself or work with investors. And my building partner and I, Chris, now, he did the same. And the newer construction homes have less headaches, less maintenance repairs, less turnover, better rents, better resaleability, better value and rental growth. And that's why we only do new construction now. So we started to do new construction because that's what ourselves and our clients ask for. The other thing in today's market, as you said, is interest rates. A lot of people, when they start to do their numbers, go, it can't pencil out because the interest rate is so high. So we've taken it upon ourselves where we are what's known as a low margin builder. We build a volume of properties and take a lower margin on each. And the reason we're taking a lower margin on each is so that we can actually pay for these mortgages to be bought down. As you said, if we're getting people in below 2 to 3% below what's being listed by mortgage companies out there, that's the starting point that get things off right. So when you're buying new construction in high growth areas with a good interest rate today, you're almost overcoming the difficulties of the market. And again, couple that with landlord friendly laws that we have here in Florida. So that's very important. Those are three of the most important things we've tried to put together, Seewing, for you and the nearly 1,000 active investors that we have in our network. And the final piece of the puzzle, when you hear about Florida, like you hit on, was insurance. Insurance is such a big conversation. And I always say to people when they say to me, friends from California call and they say, oh, Jim, it's so hard to get insurance in Florida. And I always just say, really, what property are you referring to? I always ask for the individual property. And this is key. There is a big difference between a property built in 1955 and a property built post 2004 in Florida. The reason why is in 2004, a large hurricane hit Punta Gorda, an area where we build. The area was decimated and the state government changed the rules. You had to build at 13 to 14 feet above sea level, which is a huge deal. These old houses are built about 2 to 3 feet above sea level. You had to build with stronger fasteners, better structural integrity, which is expensive. But now going through that large hurricane last year where we had hundreds of projects and we had no flooding and barely any damage, it showed that the new construction makes sense because flooding is the biggest damage. In fact, a good friend of mine, he's a doctor. He's bought several properties with us in Southwest Florida. He called me about a month ago, and I'll have to share the email exchange. I block out his name for privacy, Seewing, but he called me and said, Jim, my insurance policy was a little over $1,600 a year. I just got a notice that it was going up to $6,500 a year. And I said, wow, that doesn't sound right. And I referred back to one of our main insurance recommendations. Again, we have no financial affiliation, but it's who I use on my personal properties and many of our investors. And I said, did you call Chris? And he said, no, I didn't use the normal insurance company on this one that he had for his other properties. He had used a national insurance company that I had never worked with before. And I said, okay, why don't we just drop an email to Chris and see what Chris can come up? So within 4 hours, Seewing, we had a quote back where his national insurance company said, you're going to be at about $1,600 today. We need to raise you to $6,500. Our preferred insurance vendor came back and said, no, I can get you insured, fully insured, better coverage for a little over $1,200 a year. This is our job, to be shopping around. A lot of our people, as Seewing, they're busy, they're successful in their career or their other business, they're wanting to leverage into real estate. They don't have time to shop through the ups and downs of high quotes, low quotes. That's our job. And so when we can do that and they can follow our system, obviously my friend was thrilled. He says, I don't know why I went with this other insurance company. I just wanted to try because he had other policies with our main insurance person. But anyway, that's part of the power of working in a network. And so our venture, we've always tried to make it full service where we're answering all those questions. Because remember, we've had it for our own properties we're buying and then for almost 1,000 investors ahead of you. So we can answer these questions and be able to get the job done for you. Our overall goal with the new construction model is to be at about less than an hour a month. If we're doing our job, you should be reviewing your portfolio, checking in with your portfolio manager to review your monthly statement, and reading our market update that comes out every month to see where things are at. But besides that, it's our job to really keep the ball moving. So that's why we stick with the new construction. That's why we stick to Florida. That's why we always try to provide great in-house financing, great insurance options, and really strong management for the long term.
Yeah. Jim, you have addressed a lot of misconceptions out there. People, you and I know that there are national news media, there are the crash drones out there, the crash porn on the world's
Yeah.
and all this news media is just a fear porn, fear monger, and the war is melting. It's just, that's how it is, right? That's the news that you hear out there. You need to be smart. You need to surround yourself with a good team, work with a credible company like your company, your builder, Southern Impression Homes, and you guys have put all the systems, process, and procedures in place where, like you said, investors from out of state or anywhere can scale the portfolio, buy on great locations. So you address all the concerns. Of course, I don't see it as concerns because I know Florida very well. I have invested in Florida over the past several decades. So I watch the market, and that's why we have a good relationship. And my investors trust us and you, and continue to do business. So your final thoughts in terms of, let's talk about, spend like your final thoughts in the future. What would this great 8 to 10 locations you are promoting, which is great products, great locations, fast growing areas. So from a high level, Jim, what investors want to buy properties through you today, the next, what I know no one can predict the future, of course. What do you see an investor's portfolio? How they can improve the portfolio in what way for the foreseeable future in Florida, with the cash flow, the potential appreciation, and all the economic drivers that in all the locations that you're promoting? What was your final thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think I started my career in California almost 25 years ago. And I always sacrificed a little bit of cash flow for the potential of growth. I've looked back on the last nearly quarter century of investing, and I've made more money in my equity growth than I have in my cash flow, but I've made money in both. I have chosen to go to areas with more growth and a little less cash flow. Some people would rather go to small areas in the Midwest with less growth and more cash flow, and that's fine. I've just looked at my numbers and where I've made the majority of my wealth. So I never depend on appreciation, Seewing, but I do my best to get in its way. And how do I get in its way? I look for those 5 factors. Our research team is always looking, where is their population growth? Where is their good affordability, economic growth, desirability, healthy supply and demand? And when you can get those those factors in your favor, the odds are very much with you, or at least that's been the history of real estate. So that's what I look for. That's why I'm in Florida. And that's why I stick to new construction. And new construction does not always have to be a long-term wait. A lot of people say, oh, if I get a new construction house, I have to wait a year or a year and a half. With our process, we're on a continual build, as you see, Wing. So we're constantly building properties without them being under contract. We have a good balance sheet and a great parent partner that allows us to do that. So you can be buying a new construction property within less than 60 days of it being done. So it's not a long waiting period. Your money can start working very quickly. And not only with single family homes, and you showed that, but also duplexes and quads. Very few build to rent companies build duplexes and quads. And why did we start to build them? Because myself and my partner, Chris, are investors. And we know you can leverage up your goals with duplexes and quads faster by combining them in with your overall portfolio. So we wanted to be able to provide that opportunity. And that's been one of the most lucrative ways that we've been able to do that. And you look right here in Jacksonville, our hub market where I've been for many years, we are able to do some really incredible quad developments, something that they might want to look at, because that can be a leveraging up effect to get them going quicker, if that's what people want. And if you want to start slower, there's great single family homes at the most affordable pricing for new construction and growth markets we work in as well.
Yeah, really, I wholeheartedly agree. That's what I teach my investors, to scale 1 to 4 units, diversified, uh, 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 buy to the long term, surround yourself with a great team to have a great property manager that you guys have. Yeah, you cover all the bases, all the concerns, and which is to be expected. So I know it because I know Florida very well, and I will continue to market your markets, which is amazing. Yeah, the short term and long term growth is very attractive. They have a lot of potential. So it's all about working with a team you trust and know, and you guys been around for a long time, and you guys continue to be around for a long time. So investors, when they work with you guys, they can have a very good experience. Jim, with that said, thank you for your time. Really appreciate this update. It's very valuable, and I'll go back to my investors and encourage and motivate and inspire them to continue to buy regardless of the current housing market conditions. So thank you, Jim Shields from Southern Impression Homes. Thank you for providing this update, and we will see you soon. This is Seewing Yee, everyone. Thank you for watching. See you on the other side.